Okay, so we can do the introduction lah.
Okay, so like, what are we talking about today?
So today, actually, we're gonna today's been quite a chilly Monday, and I don't think it's just chilly for my side just because it's raining, but for many, not too sure if you read what's been going on, especially in the past 3 days, where layoffs are happening like immediately, and it's like effective immediately. It's quite a big shit show, if I have to say so myself. It's like, basically on Friday they were telling the employees that, oh, if you might get fired, and if you're gonna get fired, you'll get an email. So everyone is like waiting. I can only imagine how all of them feel. And then the most ridiculous thing is, I think just today they are saying like, oh, we fired too many people. Some of you must come back. So it's yeah. So it's like some of them, right, on hindsight, they say like, oh, actually you're quite essential. We need you back. So they unfired
You
them.
mean like that actually happened?
Yeah, it actually happened. Yeah. It's
Okay,
really damn
that's
stupid. Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah, it's damn awkward. And I think I mean I don't know how to like express my empathy to these people, because it really is something which, it must be so stressful for them. And apparently, right, this layoff in Twitter hasn't it's not new. Apparently, in the last 6 months, they did have, multiple layoffs, especially like 4 months ago in Singapore. I think that there was this layoff, and packages were sent out to people to leave the company. I read all this through LinkedIn. There's this like tech recruiter in Twitter that mentioned like, hey, it's really rough for these people, and it's not just this couple of days.
I mean, like, this is happening probably mostly in the States, right? So is it like confined in the States, or is it
No.
happening like?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just in States. It's even in Singapore. And it basically, right, it's not where it is, but it's in which department you are in. They are cutting people off in basically, if you split up to tech and non-tech people, there are a lot of like non-tech people getting their severance probably
Right.
today.
Like, I'm not sure whether it's like really a sad thing or not a sad thing, because this is quite expected when there's a change of management and a change of owners, especially. I mean, like, to give like a preamble to why this is happening, for those who are not aware, so Elon Musk just recently went through the deal. He bought over Twitter, and it's quite a hostile kind of negotiation, because actually Elon Musk wanted to pull out of the deal. But then, the Twitter execs, they actually brought him to, and tried to basically get him to on the paper and get through the deal, because it's a good exit for, I guess, them, because Twitter has not been doing so well in terms of the, I guess, like, the business itself. I'm pretty sure that the returns for their shareholders who have been in Twitter for a long time, benefited from rise in the tech stocks in general. But in terms of the business wise, because they are always struggling with monetization. So Twitter is kind of like a very different social platform, right? It's all mostly the core function allows you to type out, I guess, is it 180 words now? Like,
No, that actually it was 140, right? Then they increased, and it's like
it, right?
longer and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
So
right now it's
200
about
200 plus, I think.
like, they realized that a lot of people, they could not get all their thoughts into like 140 characters. But I did see a lot of like Twitter threads, right? So what people do is that they create like multiple replies to the initial thread, and then it following kind of like attention is there, and then they see the ads and everything. I think it better serves the function of ads. But if you are putting ads in a place where people are actually looking for something specific, right, reading something, and then you put an ad there, I don't think it's like that effective. So it's not like Quora, right? Where Quora actually, it's also like text based, right? But the thing is that for Quora, they manage to categorize the topic of the text, right? So if you're posting education, then you'll show you like ads for education. But Twitter is like very general, right? You can talk about
Yeah, it is. And
um
actually, I think I beg to differ. I think it's quite a good place for ads, because they have communities, and like let's say for like tech bros on Twitter, right? You want to target like tech bros, you can do that very easily because they exist there. But something general, like you said, it was general, is it? Like did I
Yeah.
get it wrong? To me, I feel like it's a niche thing because based on like what kind of hashtags you follow, based on the communities you join, who you follow, they can kind of like create a persona for you, right? I assume it's a little bit similar to like Facebook and Instagram, but it's the scrolling. To me, I feel the scrolling of Twitter is more unlimited um than Facebook is,
Mm,
because you really can read all the, all the things that people say online, and some of them are really quite dumb. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so basically like Elon bought over Twitter. He went through the deal. It was like, what was it,
44 billion. Yeah.
$44 billion for the whole.
Mm.
And basically, when Elon is right, he's a very efficient, looks to optimize everything. He is known to be a architect, which in terms of like the Myers-Briggs test, right? He is actually classified under the INTJ. Yeah. So actually, I happen to be an INTJ as well. So
Ooh.
I can probably understand how he thinks a little, right?
Mm.
I don't have the same level of like energy and like commitment as
Mm.
he has, right? But I think in like the way we think, be similar, given that like the same character
Mm.
sense.
Then like people in your team, if you ever have to cut like immediately within one weekend, how will you go about doing that? Are you
Right.
able to
So
be as cutthroat as him?
yeah, so that's an interesting question because actually that's where I was getting to, because I kind of like know how he thinks. Person that looks at things very objectively, right? He looks at numbers, he looks at facts,
Mm.
and looks at like the first principles, right, of everything. That means that takes a look at the like, issue, any problem, and then he cuts through all the layer of fat, right? And, all the layers of like opinions, everything, and then he falls to like the last layer, right? It's like the core truth, right? The distinctive truth. Nothing. It's like basically, one needs oxygen to survive, right? The core truth. So he's looking for that. When he goes to Twitter, yes, is that when he looks around, Twitter is kind of like bloated over time, right? Like the
Mm.
founders are no longer running Twitter. It's like the execs who are hired to
Right.
manage Twitter, right? And I have a feeling that that company is actually very, very bloated right now. And he sees that as well. So when he goes in, right, that kind of personality, right, I think he sees that there's a lot of inefficiencies everywhere, right? Because over time, these inefficiencies tend to pile up higher. We call, there's this term called like is it something called useless jobs or something? So when a company gets too like bloated, right, they have like people maybe just doing like PowerPoint slides, not contributing to like the top line or the bottom line of the company, right? It's not saving the company cost or what. It's just there, right? And just hired there to
Mm.
be like the interlink between two kind of like red tape processes in a company. When the company gets bigger, it's kind of like a natural path. If management is precedence over leadership, right? Which I think Twitter kind of lacks, because all the founders are like no longer focused on
Yeah.
Twitter, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
like what we said about the being bloated. I think even Jack Dorsey said that himself. He said that they grew too fast.
Twitter, Dorsey is also known to start multiple companies as well. So he has Square,
Mm.
he has that crypto one, was a Block, right? Yeah, so I think it's
So
Square. Of course, Twitter. Stone has Medium as well. So I'm not sure whether they grew too fast. Maybe they kind of like lost hope in Twitter, then they move on to like new projects. Maybe go back to Elon Musk. So he sees bloat, right? Wants to cut, and the way to do it is look at each individual department, right, and see okay which are essential, which are not. Maybe he overdid it, right? Maybe he outsourced that part, so that's
yeah,
why maybe now he's like trying to bring people back.
I guess it's easier to hire people than to fire them in a sense, right? You want to rip off the band-aid like right away. And then if let's say, oh shit, we are underemployed, then we just hire a few more because there will be
Right.
people wanting to join.
But Elon takes over Twitter, right? There'll be a lot of people who are cults of Elon, right? To work on Twitter, right? So these are like his big fan, daughters, and he has like this huge following on Twitter as well, right?
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that he can fill the gaps, pretty easily.
Yeah.
But like the way he thinks is as such, right? If you are not contributing, to the top line, bottom line of Twitter, saving the company time or cost, then you should not be there. So I think that's the way that he thinks. And to be honest, it's not a wrong way to think as an entrepreneur yourself, because don't forget that you are an entrepreneur, you are a player in like the capitalistic system, right? So as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what is your actually like your main purpose? Is it honestly to provide jobs, or is it to increase the value of the shares in your company for your shareholders? Those who have learned economics, it's supposed to create a company. It's actually not so much to hire people. That is the government's priority.
Right.
They want you to hire people. If you don't have a business, how are you going to hire people? So it just doesn't make sense. So what he's doing, I don't think is wrong, but the way he did it, well, it's questionable. But he's the kind of guy that doesn't really care about what other
Yeah,
thing, right?
true.
Actually, I kind of like share his sentiment as well, because people, they are at that really breakthrough that like that social norms. Life does not revolve around social norms, and I guess starting to like gravitate towards there.
Right.
Focus on building my companies and everything, such that I don't want distractions in time away from me. So it's just natural that in terms of social norms, I'm not very updated about it. And I started this podcast because like I feel like I'm being like I'm becoming a hermit. Right? Yeah, exactly. So I think you understand how, imagine he's the kind of guy that sleeps in the factory's floor, there to show leadership, right? And also, of course, to save his own time so that he doesn't have to travel and everything, right? He can be there as and when he's needed. But he's the kind of guy that thinks about automation, right? His gigafactory is all automated. He's trying to think about optimizing everything. However, right, overdo it, right? This is something that he cannot foresee, right? That's why the gigafactory, they said that they automate too much, that it became like a diminishing return, right? So like one more robot added, like the rate of return, like the ROI of that actually decreases. So that means that the time to produce, like for example, like Tesla Model 3 actually increases instead of decreases. So that was the unintended consequence, which in this case in Twitter, right, the unintended consequence is that he overfired people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, just to give some context, right, of like, so in India itself, right, he had 180 of them. So there's only
Honestly, for Twitter, right, I mean, but I bet that over time they managed to add enough automations, right, to handle things. Some slip through the crack, and then something not so bad happen. Then a user get banned for like yeah. Then I mean that is like the kind of like the thing that he has to how should I put
like a
it? Like
trade-off, right?
yeah, it's like a trade-off. But I think his main priority right now is to make Twitter profitable, right? It's to basically,
yeah.
and of course, grow and everything.
It was losing 4 million a day. But I don't even think like laying off them would even scratch the surface of this. Like
honestly, 4 million a day, you lay off 80% of workforce. I'm pretty sure that like you'll be net positive in that regard.
really, yeah. So let's see if 4 million a day. That's they pay so much.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're hiring people in like states, probably. Ask me if I was running, if I took over like a company like Twitter, cost cutting, I feel would be my main priority when I step in. Of course, consider like a few things. Whether or not the advertisers, right, in Twitter's case, would leave because they don't support such. I guess they something of it as a maltreatment of employee, as violation of rights, and everything that. So
yeah, because you mentioned it, actually, I have the list of like companies that stop advertising with them. So here are some companies. There's like Ford, General GM, and Volkswagen. Companies that we talked about in our first ever podcast, right?
come
And
on,
then
like they left because of what?
I think the instability for now.
No,
Activists are trying to apply pressure. Let's see.
think harder. Make that link. Why did they leave when a new person took over? Who is a new person?
Elon, wait, so those, because they are competitors, Tesla versus them. Like, is that what you're trying to point at?
I think so, right? So I'm trying to get it.
Right. So, but that's just one subset though. There are like Oreos and REITs. The General Mills are basically, they are like a cereal
I'm
company.
pretty sure that they have some relationship with like the execs that Elon fired, or like the people that he fired, right? Because when they get such big contracts, right, as advertisers, usually it's a relationship based kind of like contract, right? So imagine like then that accounts manager is the one that actually brought the
Yeah,
company,
that's
and
quite interesting. Yeah,
then
if
he
you
was like,
think into the
yeah,
layers, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's like
Uh,
even Pfizer left, United
yeah.
Airlines left, Coca-Cola, American Express left.
I'm sure some of them, they want to make sure that the right side of the fence, in terms of like public impression, any blowback or anything like that. Stand with Elon, these people should be fired. I don't think any company is going to do that, right? Either companies keep quiet or take actions like this by leaving the platform entirely.
Right.
But I think eventually then they'll realize that when they're more stable, they may actually come. For the car companies, I'm not so sure, but essentially, like I think if I were Elon, definitely cost cutting, and I will definitely fire people, right? But I mean, I wouldn't do it in such a way that it was me to do this. I will do it in a way that it's in steps, and definitely not too sudden, unless I know that the company is going down under, because I read somewhere that every year Twitter is paying about $1 billion in interest for the loans that they have. Amazing, right? So $1 billion as interest payment, right? You just think about it for a second. Like, I mean, Elon is has very near misses with bankruptcy, right? He's a ultimate risk taker. Three rockets failed in SpaceX. Fourth rocket, if it didn't make it, the whole company will go bust, right? Tesla, same thing, right? Used to those kind of situations, and I think he sees something, right? He looks at the numbers, he see that potentially this company may actually go under as well, and well, it's a bad image. Like, I mean, it's bad for him because he just spent like $44 billion of his own money, which, by the way, the stock market is like going down. Like his $44 billion is pledged, right? Which he probably took a loan from like banks and institutions to actually fund this. So that means that, well, he has significantly lesser leverage and lesser money right now. So, well, for him, he better make this work, lah. He wants to make this company, and it's huge company, operations. Like, I mean, just think about it. So I just feel that for the employees, well, it's quite sad, lah. Imagine like if you're working there, this takeover has nothing to do with you, right? It has totally
Exactly.
nothing to do with you. You're just there doing your job. You got hired by these people. Maybe deep inside you feel that, hey, actually my job is not so important, lah. But the job is job, right? But then again, it has nothing to do with you. But you got fired because new management thinks that, hey, actually, like role is insignificant. It's right. So I get why people are angry, all right? But Elon, right? He's thinking like an entrepreneur, like a true blue entrepreneur. Anything's wrong with that. But as long as they get their severance, their compensation, I think that, and they did it in the right way. I think to be honest, it's fair for both ends, right? Because
That's true.
right, if he actually follows the contract, pay you severance and whatever that is promised, then I don't see anything wrong with that.
The severance doesn't seem that good though. It's a 3-month package.
But it doesn't matter, right?
At least
That's why you pay anything contract didn't state, right? Right? So honestly, that person who signed a contract, well, like that person saw that clause, right? Maybe saying that, or the severance is like variable or like whatever it is. But the fact that that person signed it to get the job, I mean, to be honest, like really seem unfair to me. And but no one expects like a change of management. No one expects that Twitter, like such a huge social media company, will lay off so many stuff, right? Like as if like early stage startup, funding laying off like 80% of the stuff. Like no big company has ever done that before.
Good thing, right? Going to happen in like our context. Other big tech companies, would Google do the same? Would Facebook do the same? Would they say like, actually, yeah, I can cut off like all my employees and be profitable? And in
Right.
our context, like, would Grab want to think about that as well? Because they pay really well for their fresh grads, right? Like they pay like 5,000 to 6,000 for entry level. And I mean, if you are in a higher level analyst and stuff, probably even more. So
Yeah,
do you
but it's not so sustainable, right? Because Shopee also is reducing headcount,
yeah,
and
yeah.
also did pay well. Grab, I think there's some runway left. If I'm not mistaken, they have like $4 to $6 billion still in the bank. So I don't think they are like, I mean, they're worried, but not as worried yet. So I don't know, like it's a matter of time because they are not profitable yet, right? Maybe like a few arms of their businesses are not profitable, which basically tanks the whole company, right? Which the whole company down. Either way, right? So be the first to go. Because honestly, if you just look at things, right? I like for small businesses, even start like a cafe or anything. I was just telling my friends this the other day. We were at this cafe, then I was like looking around, and then I made some observations, like the cost difference between let's say like a coffee shop, right, in Indonesia versus Singapore. What is the main difference, honestly, in terms of like the cost, like the initial cost that you need to start a business? To me, it's really just everything to do about labor and everything to do about rentals, right? Think about it, like when you buy a cup, right? You buy cups for your business. You want to start like a coffee shop, you definitely need cups. Where do you get your cups from? Usually China. Whether you're in Indonesia or in Singapore or what, you usually get your cups from China. It's the same price. There is no price difference between cups for Singapore and in Indonesia. Then why is it that in Singapore it's so bloody expensive, right? Because the cost of living is expensive, because the rental is expensive, and this applies throughout everywhere. And labor, unfortunately, for the employees, it's variable cost, right? It's not a fixed cost. So there are certain fixed costs that you cannot just get out of, which in this case, labor is not considered one of them. And in fact, it's probably one of the highest running costs in a business. So you are firing people to save like a huge chunk of cost, because cannot be like, oh, I sell away all my like desks, right? Right, and then tons of cost, right? Like just doesn't make that make sense. That's why certain companies, certain big ones, they went like remote working, right? So then they terminate their contracts or they didn't renew their contracts with their landlords who owns the office space, etc. And maybe they downgrade like the office space a little bit. Even like the big banks, they are also doing that as well. So you think about it this way, that if not headcount, then it's the expensive space. If you have like a huge expensive space, so it's just these two, right? If you remove one of them or both of them, you'll be running like a super lean business, And I think in today's age, it's possible. You tell me, like, which NFT project has like a freaking huge office and like employees? Like,
I know of people who run their NFT projects like on their phone.
don't see the need, to be honest, to have like a big office. Like which like dApps, DAOs, right? App company, which DAO company needs like a huge office with everyone inside working, right? Decentralized, right? So people working from home, doesn't make sense anymore. And I think there is this glimmer of hope that in like the cryptoverse that this could very well happen, right? And you could actually see super profitable companies, like in the like, and especially like AI coming in and everything, think the whole content creation, in the
Right.
I do think that the need for skilled labor, skilled talents. I mean, come on, like now you can even like generate images, that looks like art, right?
Yeah.
In like a few seconds, that would have gotten someone who have probably have like 10 years of experience drawing art to come up with this in like 3-4 days maybe, right? So it's uplifting, and entirely, like technology is uplifting a lot of industries, and I think the need for labor, even skilled labor, is well, in my opinion, it's diminishing. Yeah.
The need
What you do need, what you do need is blue collar workers, right? Because blue collar workers are the ones providing you service, right? And you cannot replace that. A robot usually cannot replace service because there is a different touch. Some people just look, some people like to look at other people, right? It's not like I like to look at like robots, right? Maybe there's a small segment of people in Japan, maybe they like that. But I feel that like blue collar workers cannot be replaced. If you need your plumbing done, I don't think a robot can efficiently do that. To troubleshoot everything and anything. Maybe you need robots to help you assist the plumber to like maintain everything, but I don't think you can replace blue collar workers. So I actually read a report recently that said that AI is actually replacing. Usually last time, right? Before AI was like a huge thing, right? People are more worried that AI would replace the blue collar workers. or like robots,
Right.
in particular robotics, right, will replace blue collar workers. But then they found that actually robotics is so difficult. It's just so difficult, to create and to get the robot to do like as many things as possible. But AI is the software, right? AI, the software part of it, it's much easier to iterate. It's just like when you create a website, you can ask, you can change the theme, you can change the color, within minutes, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to change hardware, that's going to take time, right?
The
So
efficiency is more scalable in that sense.
yeah, exactly. So I do think that like the creative industry, like the high skilled industry, the industry where people go to college, people go to study for many many years, right, have tons of experience, they are going to get replaced. So that's the scary part, that's something that's like scary part. So whatever that Elon did, 80% of the workforce, I think in time to come, right, in probably like the next 10-15 years, if the government does not intervene, um, I think a lot of people are going to get fired, and a lot of companies, they're going to run very very lean, super
Mm,
lean. Um,
yeah.
so that's
And
where I hate it.
if let's say for someone who's trying to start something now, like I think it's very important for us to really really think about cost, right? Don't you think so?
I mean that's one.
I'm wondering like why is it such a huge fuss for people? I just don't understand why. What do you
Well,
think?
well, I think it's like an ego thing, But think about um where you want to be when that happens, right? You're starting something, right? Your goal is to create wealth for yourself, right? Putting all the risk, all the effort on that is just to simply create wealth for yourself. So in that sense, you want to be like the owner or at least like the main user of all these tools. Do not think about starting a business and hiring like a bunch of people, because I don't think that that is going to get you to a stage where you can like de-risk your business, right? And at the same time grow your business very profitability. Like profit. Like if you run a coffee shop, maybe no choice, right? You'll hire a bunch of people. But if you run like let's say like a high tech, I don't know what you do, but I don't think you need like that many people as you think you need them, like not needed. So in any way, as a new startup, you should not be thinking about hiring like market salary, especially in Singapore, right? Like you will go broke, pretty fast.
Really really quick. Yeah.
Yeah, you run dry very quick. But even so, right? Southeast Asia, I think we gotta understand one thing. That sometimes the cost to automate is greater than to hire someone to do it.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
It's really true.
Last time I was thinking about it, right? Okay, so last time I did start a cafe in Indonesia, and then I was just thinking, hey, wouldn't it be cool to bring like a robotic arm that makes the coffee and that? Just thinking, okay, in Indonesia, it will probably get stolen after a few weeks. Because that sewing machine,
Really?
I mean, that sewing machine, like the cheapest one costs about $10,000, and that's excluding maintenance, right? And also another thing is like maintenance stuff here. In this country, like in Indonesia, I could be well versed in like maintaining this like robotic many people, or not many companies. So it will be very expensive to like maintain a thing also. But also another thing is that if I'm paying $10,000, right, versus if I hire someone, pay them like minimum wage. Oh, by the way, F&B in Indonesia, they don't pay minimum wage. They pay under minimum wage, right?
Right.
Using this, okay, like I'm not saying anything. I'm just using this as a hypothetical.
So
Like
you mean like in Indonesia there is a minimum wage level, is it?
there are minimum wages in each region or cities. So it's based, well, it's supposed to be based on the cost of living in each city.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. But it's
So
just not respected or followed in F&B,
yeah,
you're
it's
saying?
not respected and followed because I think there is a lot of people from other parts of Indonesia actually flying over or coming over,
Okay,
right? So
that
I
makes
think
sense.
those people they are not like born in that city, right?
Mm,
So from a city with like low cost of living, and then they go down a city work, so they don't mind getting paid like lower
mm.
salary if it means securing a job.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, you think about it, like you pay a guy like $2 a month.
Mm.
This is like a $10,000 like robot, right? That can break down, right? And like not, and like there's not going to be like 24-hour coffee service, right? I mean, who the hell will order
Mm.
coffee at night? So it doesn't like just doesn't make sense, right? Some things automation doesn't make sense if you're in a country with very very low labor,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that really doesn't make sense. It might make sense because $10,000 versus like someone that you hire like a barista, right? Maybe it's like 1,000, maybe $2,000 if it's a very, very experienced barista. But you just think about it, like $10,000, that's probably like 10 months of salary. After that, it pays for itself already. So that makes sense, right? But if you're trying to replace someone that is like costing the business $200, that simply just doesn't make sense. Yeah, the machine will probably break down before like they can like recoup the cost,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but I think Twitter, that is my take, right? That what he's doing is not wrong as an entrepreneur. Things could have been handled a little bit better. But right? I mean, when you say handled better, the fact is that if you're going to get fired, you're going to get fired. The fact that 80% of the workforce, if he has plans to fire 80%, he's going to fire 80%. The fact I'm talking about is PR. PR just go, right? So I mean,
Do you think like his decision was already made like way before
it was
he
already
signed the
made.
right? When he
Yeah, he
already had his
already made.
eyes on Twitter, he was probably thinking like, yeah, I'm going to execute this. So I don't think it's like people might think it's like very like sudden, but I think he already probably thought about it for quite some time.
Right, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, right? But I would say, he makes them very fast. I mean, like he is operating in a state of mind that he's like running so fast, like his mind operates so fast that he makes like snap decisions, like huge decisions like that. And I'm pretty sure he can make them in like a split second, really. Right? So I think, like either he was like thinking about it or whatsoever, but I'm pretty sure that he made the quick decision, and he was very firm on that decision, right? And well, when I say handled well, to me it's just fat also lah. Like I mean, like Elon doesn't like fat anyway. So you're gonna hire. I mean, if you're gonna fire 80% of workforce, he did it at just one shot like that.
Right.
But think about it, like I mean, if you're like so that is trade business schools and all that, then maybe what you'll do is that you fire about like 20% of workforce first, then slowly taper down, and then your PR team jumps in the picture, like make sure that they don't get the main spotlight, blah blah blah. But either way, you are still gonna fire 80% of workforce. That's the truth. That's what's gonna happen. You are just kind of like making it sound better. Yeah. So that's why I called like fat, because it's definitely gonna happen. So I just feel that nothing he did is wrong. It's just that that's the way things are, right? You work in a company, you don't devote your life to the company anyway, right? The company also does not devote, like, I mean, the company is not going to be there forever. So eventually, right, things are going to, like, the relationship is going to break between you and the company. So, but at least, all the execs, at least, right, before firing all like the employees,
Yeah.
right, your leadership first. After that, then you fire everyone else, right? So
Yeah.
I think,
If then it would look really, really bad. Like worse than it is. Yeah.
yeah, so then that maybe it's not genuine or whatever. Yeah, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess what we can get from this is like, if you're an INTJ, go for it, man. Right? Go for it. I mean, we probably won't even need to tell you to go for it. You'll probably go for it for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So let me just share like a story. So there are like two main inflection points in my company. So the first inflection point was when my first CTO actually left, who was my co-founder, who started this together. He built like the very first iteration on the tech side, and then he left the company. And then in my mind, I was just thinking like, one, because I started a tech company and now I'm without a tech co-founder. That's just dumb, right? So I didn't know anything about like tech at all at the point of time. And then after that, another co-founder who is who is okay in tech, right? He's also learning, and I guess but he definitely took more a larger leap of faith than my first tech co-founder, because he actually did leave university for about a year to work on this with me full time. But eventually, then he also had to leave for personal reasons. And then I was kind of like stuck, right? Like I mean, like tech co-founder leave and everything. So I have my fair share of experience as a very small company, losing everyone, like literally everyone. Like I almost I'm just trying to recall. Like, was there a point in time that I'm just a one person, like yeah, I
This
mean,
happened how many months in, or how many years in?
Like already 2 years in,
2 years.
product and everything. I mean, like we call it a product. Yeah, I mean, it runs and everything. Yeah, but it's not the thing that I have envisioned it to be at that point of time. But it's still a product. So we have all that already. We have a fair share of experience. In like a startup world and everything. Yeah. So imagine losing everyone. I still can't recall whether I was the only one left. Maybe I was, right? But then I built it back up again.
Mm.
Um, I have my fair share of that, which leads me to really think that that's why I probably automate a lot of things, and that's why I was forced, right, due to the circumstance that everyone is leaving, that I have to automate certain processes in my company to make it run without people.
Mm.
And I think I managed to do that luckily, until today, that these systems stay with me until today. So these systems are the same systems that I'm using. Of course, I optimize it along the way. That is now able to manage, like a very, very large workforce, right? So I don't have to worry about that
Mm.
anymore. So I think that helps, and that actually also in a way, because of that system, that processes, that automation, it allows me to increase my profit margins significantly, like huge, like yeah. So I mean, like on hindsight, it was a good thing lah. Right.
Mm.
So I do think that Twitter is at an inflection point right now. I do think that by firing all these people, right, people will get more creative. People will get more resourceful. It will force people who are still working at Twitter, even like the leadership as well, to really think hard about what's important, what's not. Right. Even you see Elon actually posting out posts in Twitter saying that what would the users want, right, and then vote them, and then instantly it happens,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
So I mean, you have that level of speed. He's operating like a small startup, Twitter, like you know, like he's operating Twitter as like a small startup. Like you just think about that. Like how mind-boggling is that, right? Which is scary, right? Which is very, very scary. Mark Zuckerberg with his Meta and everything cannot do that anymore, right? He just cannot, right? But
What do you
Elon
want?
just comes in, take over like a social media platform, and he has no idea about social media. He's like a huge user, but he has no idea, like the operations behind it. He has no experience apart from running his like previous, online companies like Zip2 and everything, PayPal, everything. But still, right, it's pretty new to him. So it's quite amazing that you see this business magnate, right, coming in, taking on a company, running as a small startup.
Mm.
That's damn impressive to be very honest.
Yeah, and making all these big decisions like on his first week.
Product and everything. I mean, like we call it a product. Yeah, I mean, it runs and everything. Yeah, but it's not the thing that I have envisioned it to be at that point of time. But it's still a product. So we have all that already. We have a fair share of experience. In like a startup world and everything. Yeah. So imagine losing everyone. I still can't recall whether I was the only one left. Maybe I was, right? But then I built it back up again.
Mm.
Um, I have my fair share of that, which leads me to really think that that's why I probably automate a lot of things, and that's why I was forced, right, due to the circumstance that everyone is leaving, that I have to automate certain processes in my company to make it run without people.
Mm.
And I think I managed to do that luckily, until today, that these systems stay with me until today. So these systems are the same systems that I'm using. Of course, I optimize it along the way. That is now able to manage, like a very, very large workforce, right? So I don't have to worry about that
Mm.
anymore. So I think that helps, and that actually also in a way, because of that system, that processes, that automation, it allows me to increase my profit margins significantly, like huge, like yeah. So I mean, like on hindsight, it was a good thing lah. Right.
Mm.
So I do think that Twitter is at an inflection point right now. I do think that by firing all these people, right, people will get more creative. People will get more resourceful. It will force people who are still working at Twitter, even like the leadership as well, to really think hard about what's important, what's not. Right. Even you see Elon actually posting out posts in Twitter saying that what would the users want, right, and then vote them, and then instantly it happens,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very
So
true.
yeah, so I mean, you have that level of speed. He's operating like a small startup, Twitter, like you know, like he's operating Twitter as like a small startup. Like you just think about that. Like how mind-boggling is that, right? Which is scary, right? Which is very, very scary. Mark Zuckerberg with his Meta and everything cannot do that anymore, right? He just cannot, right? But
What do you
Elon
want?
just comes in, take over like a social media platform, and he has no idea about social media. He's like a huge user, but he has no idea, like the operations behind it. He has no experience apart from running his like previous, online companies like Zip2 and everything, PayPal, everything. But still, right, it's pretty new to him. So it's quite amazing that you see this business magnate, right, coming in, taking on a company, running as a small startup.
Hmm.
That's damn impressive to be very honest.
Yeah, and making all these big decisions like on his first week.
That's not his only company,
Really
This,
expanding this.
this guy, right? There should be an episode about him, right? But this guy is like a madman, like once in a lifetime you get this kind of people who are so almost to a psychopath level, like so committed to something, right? He's committed, so laser focused that he's like a multi-billionaire, one of the richest, maybe the top 5 richest people in like the world at a certain point in time. And this guy sleeps on the floor. This guy sleeps in a factory, right? He knows that he buys stuff like planes and everything just so that he can save time and get more work done. You are like imagine like you're the top 5 richest person in the world, dude. Like just probably not doing anything really. Like I mean, like the entire
Yeah,
day,
they can
one
just chill, right? They,
but he is still not done yet, right? His drive is really to get, I don't think get himself, but I think get people to Mars, get people, like humankinds into like an interplanetary species, to go to to get the whole world to use electric cars, etc. So this guy is not done yet, right? Like driven, and it's so insane, really. Like it's just insane. I mean, whatever he does, I think society should just really be thankful, right? There are a lot of things that he does that are not very much like a little controversial, right? In social norms, right? And it's all about social norms, right? Like it's a little bit controversial in like social norms, etc. But I think that society as a whole should actually be glad that he is taking over one more company, right? Yeah, because I'm sure that he's going to do wonders with
yeah.
it.
I mean, okay, so maybe let's just check back with him and not okay.
A lot of things that he does that are not very much like a little controversial, right? In social norms, right? And it's all about social norms, right? Like it's a little bit controversial in like social norms, etc. But I think that society as a whole should actually be glad that he is taking over one more company, right? Yeah, because I'm sure that he's going to do wonders with
Yeah.
it.
I mean, okay, so maybe let's just check back with him and not okay. How far has he brought? How far he could have brought Twitter within like I don't know, in a quarter.
Like time will tell. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like
So yeah, if you are interested in like wanting to know more about Elon, Musk, for us to go and do research to know like topics that make Elon Musk or something like that.
mm,
If you're interested in it, just comment down below, let us know, and we'll do our research and we'll just share with you guys what we find and what we think about it.
we do have like 10 more minutes.
Hmm.
So, what else do you want to talk about? Like, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Let's see. I I feel oh wait, there's one thing. So he did mention about so Twitter has a new at least he's trying to create a new revenue stream for Twitter, which is
Like, is
paying
it that
for the
$8
blue
thing?
check mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
it's $8 a month thing, right?
yeah, I mean, okay, I think it's ridiculous on both sides. So there's a big hoo-ha, like the people with the blue check marks, they don't want to pay for it. Elon is like, but it feels so weird because people with blue check marks, they are probably rich enough to pay that $8 a month, right? I'm wondering like why is it such a huge fuss for people? I just don't understand why. What do you
Well,
think?
well, I think it's like an ego thing,
I'm wondering like why is it such a huge fuss for people? I just don't understand why. What do you
Well,
think?
well, I think it's like an ego thing,
I'm wondering like why is it such a huge fuss for people? I just don't understand why. What do you think?
Well, I think it's like an ego thing, you know. They think that they already deserve and they've already gotten that level of status. So, like, if you think every social media platform, there's a hierarchy, right? So you have like influencers in the platform, you have the average users, you have the people that don't post anything but just stalk people on social media. So you have like this different level of hierarchy in like this entire network, right? So I think that the people at the top, right, which are already verified Twitter users, right, with like the um well, they have already attained such a social status. So, and they already gotten like that respect, right? That they think that deserve, and they are benefiting from that as well. So you're asking these people, right? Imagine asking like Paris Hilton, you're asking like all the celebrities, right? All the A-star celebrities, those that were casted in like Avengers and all that. You are asking all those people to pay like this small sum of money publicly, right? Because everyone knows that you're going to pay $8, right? It's such a small thing, but it's so small.
The other thing that like celebrities paying to have their names to have something, it reminded me of the Hollywood, the stars at the Hollywood walkway.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they have to pay, I think, every year, and I'm not too sure how much lah, but I know they have to pay to be there. So I'm just thinking like these people on Twitter who have blue check marks, they are probably like the top contributors, right? And I feel like the blue check mark is kind of like a reward. Imagine if, let's say, I mean, okay, I'm not trying to compare uh your influencers and celebrities to people who are in the army, but but you think about it, if like, imagine if you're in an army, you long service or what, and you have like such a certain badge, right? And army says, yeah, if you want to use this badge, you have to pay $8 a month to put it on your uniform. Like,
Mm,
yeah, that's quite a big insult for like what you have contributed to your country. But then in this sense, like it's noble as someone
right.
who's serving. But yeah, it just feels about the same way, right?
To a person's ego, lah, right? I mean, like, everyone knows that, oh, you're probably paying like $8 a month. So are you doing that because you think that doing it to gain that respect with the blue check mark, or testing them, is it testing them to see that whether the blue check mark got them there in the platform, in that level of hierarchy, like they got there, or you can that person do without that blue check mark? Like insult. And I just feel that well, $8 a month. I mean, like how many people have that blue check mark status in the first place?
I don't know the breakdown, but the thing is that people do pay, pay in the tens of thousands to Twitter employees to say like,
Right.
hey, help me expedite it, help me,
Oh, that is for the people who needs it for certain purposes, right? That is angle, right? The angle, like the blue check mark, it's very different from like celebrities getting blue check marks who will just so happen to be like famous already, and then Twitter say, hey, here's a blue check mark, right?
right,
Help instant status because of their already president status, but for the people who are, let's say, paying $10,000 to to under the table just to get verified, I think these people, they have a profit motive at the back of the head, right? They need a blue check mark to gain influence, to maybe sell something, or to maybe influence people in a way that gets them to do something which is going to be in their favor. So I do think that these are the more enterprising kind of people,
right.
and people who needs that to gain credibility in order to sell easier. So I think that there is a different motive for that.
Mm,
But then again, Elon is doing is he's saying that everyone, like no matter what motive you have, pay
mm,
that $8. So I just think that it's like a little bit insulting to some people come together and saying that, hey, like dollars like get that check mark, and people who really need that to sell things, either to to give, they are probably gonna pay it, right? They're probably be damn happy. People who doesn't really need it, right, who was really popular in their own rights, who
mhm.
really had influence in their own rights, yeah, they're just wanting that. I mean, why the hell do I, you know why am I paying for this? Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like,
and
even though it's like $8,
I just went
the
to,
symbol,
sorry,
like,
come again?
this difference, it's a symbol, right?
Mm-hmm.
This blue check mark, it's a symbol. It's not just some random thing that you see next to your profile. It's actually a symbol. It represents respect, right? It
Right, right,
represents
right.
something, right? So that's why I think it's a matter of that rather than paying $8.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Just to get back to you about how many verified accounts are there, how many people with the blue check marks? There are over 400,000 of them. 423,000.
Everyone paid. They can almost cover their loss
Yeah.
firing people.
Mm.
Wait, no, sorry. So that's per
4 million a day, yeah. 1/30 lah, about
3.2 million a month.
mm.
That's nothing much for Twitter, is it?
Yeah, I mean maybe you can save up like 3% of what they're losing. But I mean
Like
it's still earning a lot lah. 3% is still a lot.
like 3.4 million a year if everyone pays for that blue check mark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's very significant for the company that size anymore. Why he is planning to do it lah.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay,
So anything else?
we have like 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Oh, let me
Would
see.
you like to share your thoughts as like someone who has previously worked in, actually a company consulting, right?
A little bit when I heard about the news on like all the layoffs and everything. I did try to think about like, oh, what if I was still in there, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter since I'm already unemployed now, right? So thinking like, okay, how would I feel knowing that the economy is not doing very well, and then moreover, Twitter is such a big company, right? And like all these massive layoffs. Then you also hear about Shopee and everything. So I think as someone who has worked before, I'm sure that everyone who's working right now will be thinking like, would my company be next? Like in this musical chair of axing their employees. So I think everyone probably is is thinking about like, oh, how should I pivot? Should I search for something, find another backup, or another way is to should I upskill myself so that I'll be more employable in the future? And I
But
think
you know what this means? Like this tells me something that even you yourself, in that sense, you don't even think that you are important in a company.
I I don't know how everyone else feel when they work, but
Mhm.
I always feel like whatever I'm doing, anyone else can do it.
So
Because
that is the problem, right? I mean, that is exactly the problem because even you yourself, right? The company doesn't even need to tell you that. Like the management doesn't even need to give you assessment and like tell you that, like you yourself working there, if you feel that you are replaceable, right, by anyone else, then obviously you have that thought, right? Because the level of security that you have there, knowing that anyone can replace you at any point of time, knowing that you are a commodity, that simply just doesn't give you the level of security that you should have. Like I said, right? You don't think that you're important enough, right?
mm,
But that's why I think for all those employees out there, right? Maybe you're thinking of like starting like a gig, like a side hustle, or that now is the time to do it, right? Do it. But at the same time, right? Your job is paying you that active income, right? Just make sure that you find a way to make yourself important in the organization, if not important to your manager. And hopefully your manager doesn't get fired. Then you'll be next to go, right? If you want to do it that way, right? But if you present yourself as someone that's important in the organization, right? Someone that has done something, through like for like implement more efficient system that will help the company overall save money, the department save money, etc. Right? Or even to do it slightly riskier way, provided that your manager or your supervisor doesn't get fired also, is like just suck up supervisor, right? I mean, like suck up in a way that also adds value, like as well to his own, or like career plan, or whatever it is, right? Or make it easier, right? I think if you can do it in a way that it falls slightly beyond your job scope, I think enough value such that you are no longer a commodity in the company. And and when you get recognized for it, and it's important to get recognized. I mean, you can't just do things, under your desk and make everything work, but then no one knows about it, right? You have to make it known.
yeah, actually on that topic, right, I have some stuff that I can share, but maybe for another time where I talk more about my job. So I was one of the top employees there lah. So I can I can share like if you are ever an employee, I can share like what can you do to stand out and be in like maybe the top 10%. Yeah.
I think like another episode we can also talk about consulting in
Yeah,
general.
that'd be great.
I think
I
it's
can
like a black box that a lot of people
I
don't know
can
about.
define what consulting actually is.
Right.
Maybe
I mean, like most people, like especially myself, right? I just think consulting is about PowerPoint, talking, coffee, and like calls, maybe. Yeah.
And probably throw in some industry jargons here and there.
Yeah, like again, having the dictionary of them, pulling them out, when you're your next meeting and
Yeah.
all that. And definitely having no skin in the game, right? So I think like these are like how I define, consulting. But I'm wrong. Well,
Yeah,
just tell me that.
I think you'll be surprised like what
Right.
at what we do actually,
Yeah.
because it's not just that lah.
Yeah. So like I'll be excited to hear like you sharing your story. I don't think you can share everything, right? I guess
Yeah,
for
I have
some
some. Yeah, I can't share like who my clients are and what I do.
Yeah, maybe just say client X, like company X, like maybe figures, okay, this is such a company big in this industry, that size. I think all this, maybe you help like viewers also understand, like,
Yeah, I can give you
what,
some perspective.
yeah, drop some hints.
Some juicy stuff lah. Can.
Yeah.
I'll spill some tea along the way.
Okay.
Those tea that I can spill.
Okay. All right. So we have come to the end of the podcast. Thanks so much for everyone who is tuning in,
Thanks,
listening to
guys.
this. And remember that if you're an employee, how you want to grow your income through getting multiple income streams, and one of them is through building like a side hustle, like a game, which is what this podcast is for, right? To give you like a perspective, on someone who is side project, and then going on a full-time project, and also to give you some insight on like what it's like to think on the other side of the fence. Right, because I think a lot of like perspective is usually through employees and all that, never much through like your so-called bosses or your leaders of the company, the entrepreneurs, right? So I think like this presents like a very nice of information out there. So yeah, so definitely stay tuned to the next podcast. And yeah, so thanks so much, Isaac, for coming in.
Hey, thanks.